Thanks for agreeing to set up this interview. As you know, we only have a short amount of time, so let's go ahead and get started right away.
Sounds good.
Now, I know that you've been involved in some work on community issues. Can you tell me what attracted you to the community issue that you chose at the beginning of the semester?
Yes, that's a really good question. So, the community issue I chose was the dangers of texting and driving. My mom is a first grade teacher and has seen firsthand what can happen when you are texting and driving. Just earlier this year, one of her students lost their dad to texting and driving. Now, before this incident, I could care less if someone was texting and driving or not. It really didn't have any effect on my life. But since this happened, I began to think more and more about how I would feel if I lost a loved one or if a loved one lost me. And it's not always the person texting who is the one that passes away. To lose your life for this reason just seemed ridiculous. And I wanted to inform others how dangerous it can be, texting and driving, and persuade them not to text and drive. It seems silly to lose your life that way.
Okay, thank you. Now, your materials also said that you were involved in a community issue team project that focused on a call to action. Can you share with me what call to action your team put forward and why you chose that call to action?
Of course, yeah. Our call to action was don't text and drive and take the pledge. While our team was doing research to persuade others not to text and drive, we found something very interesting. We found that people are more likely to keep a promise. For instance, I won't text and drive if that promise is written down somewhere by putting their name to it, rather than verbally promising not to do something. It may not have been the flashiest, most fun call to action, but it was proven that it works, and that's what we wanted. We wanted results. We wanted others to agree not to text and drive and hopefully have them keep their promise.
I see. Now, if I were to ask the other members of your team what they think your biggest strength is, what do you think they would say, and why do you think they would say it?
My guess would be that they'd say my biggest strength is my leadership and my organization. The reason I say both of these is because they kind of go hand in hand. Can't have one without having the other. From the start, I was able to help our group come to a decision on what topic we would want to present between the three of ours. Ultimately, as you heard, it was about having people avoid texting and driving. I was able to pick the organizational pattern of which our speech was laid out in, which our group chose cause-effect solution. When our group didn't know how to transition or what to say for a particular part of our speech, I usually came up with something that would be said and something that could be used. And I was usually the one who was able to come up with a time that we could all meet, get all that started, and collaborate all of our ideas.
Okay, great. What for you was the most challenging thing about working with your team?
Yes, that's a really good question. I believe there are always some difficult aspects to working with a team, but on the other hand, there are some great benefits. Addressing your question, I'd say one of the hardest parts of working with my team was finding a time we could all meet to work together. With everybody in so many classes and other extracurricular activities, it was never easy to find a time we could all meet. Also, one great challenge for me working with any group is that it is always hard to work with one or two people who you can tell never give it 100%. Whether it's worth 10 points or 100 points, I always like to put forth the full effort just for the fact that I can put my name on it, say I did my best. It's always difficult to work with a group for this reason, because I find myself having to go back and even the small things, correcting grammar or correcting spelling. I don't necessarily always see these as small things. Although this is difficult, it's worth working with a group because it makes everything easier. It makes you become less self-reliant.
Thank you. Okay, last question. In 30 seconds or so, tell me what your biggest takeaway was from COMM 110 this semester. What will stick with you and be useful to you?
Yeah, great question. My biggest takeaway from COMM 110 is the whole purpose that we took the class. I have public speaking anxiety more than anybody I know. This isn't really an overstatement. I've learned some great tricks about public speaking in front of people, such as taking deep breaths before you speak, not caring if I screw up, because nobody's really going to be able to tell if I screw up or not, for the most part. The biggest thing I learned biggest thing I learned in COMM 110 is repetitiveness. The more you speak in front of an audience, the easier it'll get. For this fact, I have learned that I can ask teachers more questions or speak out more in class because it'll help. It'll help me, and it'll become easier to do so the more I do it. So yes, learning to speak up more often does make it easier in the long run.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. We'll probably be in touch with you in the next few weeks or so. Take care.
Thank you. It was great talking with you as well.